Hey, Pipe Pants, welcome back to Carl Prusa MMA. We got a returning guest to the show. My guest is getting ready, going down June 27th, second round of the PFL tournament. He's taking on Dalton Rosta once again. He is Mr. Aaron Jeffrey. AJ, what's going on, man? Nice to see you again.
What's up, man? Yeah, you too.
Absolutely, man. You know, last time out, first round of the PFL playoffs, great win, man. Took out a very tough guy, Murad Ramazanov. You know, I think some people may be counting you out there. You showed in that contest how well-rounded of a fighter you were, man. It was very entertaining. It was one of my favorite fights to watch so far this tournament. Overall, looking back at it, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was an entertaining fight. When I got out of the cage, I kind of thought it might have been a little bit boring. Like, I know fans are not always super pumped about like a big grappling match, but yeah, I watched it back and it was pretty exciting. It was a grueling fight. Obviously, we went the full 15 minutes. It was fucking hard, man. I wish it would have been easier.
You know, something for you that really sticks out anytime you watch you fight is that cardio is absolutely amazing. Is that something you've always had?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I've been told that for a lot of my career. Like I have finishes like late in fights, and I've gone the distance quite a few times. I've been in championship rounds, I think 3 or 4 times now. So yeah, I think it's something that I've like worked on a bit over the years, but yeah, I think it's kind of something that was built into me from the beginning.
No, it was really cool to see you, obviously Canadian fighter, you know, starting out on the regional scene of Canada. You know, at the time it's still developing, it's still growing. There wasn't many opportunities. You know, you had to go fight dirt roads in Ohio to get early fights in your career. Place that you kind of started off with and still have ties with, Niagara Top Team. You know, Chris Prickett and the rest of them doing such a good job there. Now you're looking at fighters. You have Siri, you have Jazz, you know, you have Mikey Malott making really big names for themselves in the UFC. You know, looking back at that place now, is it kind of crazy to see how they've blown up?
It is crazy, man, because it really hasn't been that long. I guess like during the COVID days, we were still in the Red Dungeon, we called it, like the first gym that NTT opened up at, and that was it was not a nice place, man. Like that's why we called it the dungeon. It was a little basement spa. There was like mold on the walls. There was no air ventilation. It was pretty fucking gross down there. And maybe a year before that, there was not even any NTT. It was like a group of us that were training together. I think the story is that Tisha Guthrow started calling the gym Niagara Top Team before it was even a real gym. So yeah, just like a few short years later, and we've got a name built for ourselves. Like it's cool you hear it on the UFC broadcast now. They mention Niagara Top Team. They talk about Prickett. They talk about D-Marks. So yeah, it's cool for the fighters. I can't imagine what it's like for the coaches, the owners. It's probably pretty surreal for them too, I would imagine.
Absolutely. You know, I think one thing that's so awesome when you look at the growth of mixed martial arts in Canada, we're at a time now, they have some great regional shows. Obviously, you know, you have Battlefield, you have Samurai, you have Unified doing great things. You know, when you first started getting into this and everything, did you envision that landscape would have multiple promotions that are sending guys to the UFC and are on Fight Pass?
Not really, man. I mean, it was like when I first started fighting, I'm pretty sure it was still illegal. So if you would have told me then that there's going to be like a bunch of promotions on Fight Pass, um, like high level promotions with like good production quality, I probably wouldn't even have believed it. So yeah, these up and comers, man, they got it pretty good now. I don't think they know what it's like to have to go down to Ohio and, like you said, like fighting on a dirt road in some like middle of nowhere promotion, like fighting basically some guy from the bar. It felt like things have come a long way.
You know, you've been doing this for about 15 years now. Just the training alone, you know, between the training, the nutrition, the science, how has it evolved from where you first started to what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's way more of a sport now. I think like when I got into MMA, it was already kind of like transitioning to become a little bit more mainstream and like a kind of scientific approach. But like not long before I started, I think it was just a tough guy sport, right? Like I'm sure guys lifted some weights and went for some runs and stuff, but like there wasn't it wasn't like a super like formal training method that anyone had. It was like go to the gym, get in fights with your training partners, lift some weights, go for runs, and that was it. And yeah, it's crazy, man. Like you see some guys on Instagram, like UFC champs and stuff, like the kind of like crazy workouts they got going on, and technology and all this recovery stuff and sauna and red light and um, elevation stuff and everything. Like it's pretty crazy, man. And the sport is still new, so I can only imagine it's gonna keep progressing pretty quickly.
You know, right now you do a lot of your training over at Kill Cliff MMA in South Florida. You also do some stuff in Canada, Niagara Top Team as well. You know, if someone looks at your Instagram, I mean, you're doing a lot of these big, long drives. You know, how do you enjoy going back and forth? What is it like to be able to train at both places?
It's nice, man. I love that I have the option to do that, especially with the cold winters in Canada. It is nice to have the option to get back down here. But yeah, it's always like whenever I'm in Florida, I'm thinking the training's so good. I don't know if I should go back home. And whenever I'm at home, I'm always thinking like, man, I don't need to go back to Florida right now. I've got it really good here. So I've got like two very good situations going on, good training partners at both gyms, good coaching. So yeah, I'm lucky to have the situation that I have right now.
No, absolutely. So you're getting ready once again, fighting the PFL, your second time, semifinals, taking on Dalton Rosta for the second time. You know, a guy you've been in there with, you mixed it up, you're able to get a win a couple years ago against him. Do you think he has changed at all since the first time you guys fought?
Well, we just spoke about that little interview clip that you saw before this. So if we're going by his word, he is a completely new man. But yeah, it's been 2 years. Obviously, we've both been training, and I'm sure he has tried to fix the issues that he had in the first fight. So yeah, I expect a better Dalton Rosta this time. But I mean, I'm hoping and expecting for the same outcome.
You know, for you, do you find comfort in already fighting with the guy before?
Yes and no. Obviously, like there's a good like good evidence to kind of build my confidence off of, right? Like I know I can beat this guy. I think in some ways it adds a little bit of pressure too. Beating him once, it kind of feels like I'm supposed to again, or maybe I have more to lose since I've already beat him the one time. But like I said, I'm hoping and expecting for it to go the same way.
Absolutely. You know, I think one thing is really unique what the PFL does is this tournament format. You know, none of the other organizations have something close to this. Obviously, in the past, you've had big fights, you know, it could be title implications, but going into this right now, you know, if you win, you're getting into the finals. Does that even cross your mind, or are you just solely focused on Dalton?
No, I say it every time, man. Like I've had a lot of big fights in my career, and I say this every time, and I'm not just saying it. It really is true. But like every fight just feels like a new fight. It always feels like the biggest fight. It's always like the sole focus. Like I had one or two fights in Bellator where they said if you win this one, you could fight for the belt next. Well, I had the one for sure title eliminator. I've had contender series fights. Like I've had a lot of big ones, and it always feels like a big one. It always feels like the biggest moment of my career.
You know, absolutely. You know, you've been doing this for such a long time. Obviously, been on the Contender Series, been a big name for yourself in Bellator, now in the PFL. But I feel for you, you haven't fully exploded yet. You know, I think you're one of these guys. I mean, you have the look, your fighting style, you're very technical, you're a very good fighter, but I don't think you've really blown up quite yet. Do you feel with this new shift of scenery, this PFL, this tournament, is this your opportunity?
Let's hope so, man. I don't know. Like I've been, like you said, I've been doing this stuff for so long. Um, it's kind of just like it just feels like this is the way that it is now. Like I don't know if there's ever going to be that like blowing up moment, but yeah, who knows, man? Win this tournament, and yeah, maybe that'll be it.
You know, so many people are watching this sport in this day and age. I mean, it's on almost every single weekend in some sort of capacity. If you have Fight Pass, you can literally watch fights now 4 out of the 5 days of the week. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. I think for the most part, casual fans, they understand guys are training, they're getting ready for fights, they're trying to get bigger fights to win belts, win money, all that fun stuff. But I think a lot of people, they don't realize part of the journey of a fighter is the fight outside of the fight. You know, it's that fight to create a life that you can live that doesn't follow societal rules. You don't need to clock in at 9 a.m. and clock out at 5 p.m. Create a platform where you can share a message that you want to get across to your people, live a life financially free, be able to do whatever you want. For you, is this a big part of the journey?
For sure, man. Yeah, it's like I'm really getting to live my dream right now. Like I'm doing road trips back and forth from Canada to Florida. I don't have to clock in, like you said. I get to kind of make my own schedule and do what I want to do. I get to travel the world. I get paid to fly somewhere just to get in a fight with some guy. It's pretty sick, man. And I said this in my one interview before the last PFL fight. I think like the main thing that I'm trying to do right now, as much as I want to win all these fights, I'm like really trying to soak everything up and make that the most important part.
It's kind of crazy to think. I mean, you've been doing it for so long. You've had a career that people would absolutely die for. I mean, find huge names in the Bellator, being in the PFL, being on the Contender Series. Do you ever take a second to ever reflect on the journey and be like, I'm kind of like at the maybe top 1 or 2% of the people who attempt to do this?
Not often. It's kind of hard to like sit back and enjoy it when I know that I have to fight another guy in just a few weeks. So like I'm always focused on the task at hand. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the names on my record right now, it's a pretty decent resume. And I know I haven't won all the tough fights, but I mean I've beaten quite a few tough guys, and I've got some really high level guys on my record. So yeah, it's crazy to think about, man, because time goes by so fast, and it feels like I just started doing this shit yesterday. Like I can still remember my first amateur fight like it was yesterday, man. So it's crazy.
For you, how important is the mental side of fighting?
It's only something that I've recently started to focus on. Probably could have been a focus earlier, but again, like I said, the sport used to be just kind of a tough guy sport. There was no like formal training method. And I'm sure like I've heard stories, I've read books of like guys in other sports where the mental training is such a huge aspect of it. So it's definitely becoming more popular in fighting too. And yeah, it's something that I've started to work on a lot more in the last couple of years.
Now, your last 2 fights, you're taking out absolute killers. I mean, very, very tough fighters, and you're putting on great performances out there. Do you really feel right now, do you feel like you're at the peak right now of your career?
There's a good chance I'm at the peak, but I would like to say that I'll keep improving for the next few years. I mean, that's the goal, right? I only want to get better from here.
Absolutely. We talked about a little earlier in the interview, your opponent. Going to be a very interesting interview that gets released tomorrow just by the clip that got announced, or that got put out. A lot of little back and forth, a little bit of hostility here. Does that kind of even make you want to go out there even more and get the victory again?
It doesn't affect me all that much. I mean, it's like kind of funny and gets the nerves going a little bit and stuff. I think the first fight that I had with him, it was one of the best performances of my career. I don't know how much like him talking shit to me beforehand and even during the fight affected that, but yeah, let's hope he keeps talking shit and it just leads to another great performance by me.
In this day and age of martial arts and all these different promotions, even in boxing, social media has played such a big role. You have a lot of guys now and girls implementing a personality. Some may even play up this character, try to get title fights, try to make money, try to make themselves stand out from the pack, all this stuff. You're a type of dude, man. I mean, you've been pretty classy your whole time. You haven't tried to be someone you're not. You just stick true to who you are. For you, how important is it to always be yourself?
It's big, man. I know it's not gonna like win me fans, and it doesn't really like mean a whole lot to anyone. But yeah, I'm trying to be myself, and like talking shit and putting on a persona is not me. And again, this interview that's going to be released tomorrow, you'll see. I'll give you a little spoiler. Like the one question coach asked was, what's one thing you admire about your opponent? And right away he's like, I don't admire anything. I don't admire anything about any of these guys. They're all competition to me, whatever. And I said, like, I admire that he can like act like this right now and talk this shit and sell this fight, because my personality is not big enough to do it.
How is it when you look at your phone, you look at Instagram, you look at Facebook, and you have guys, young kids, fighters, wannabe fighters, reaching out, being like, "Hey, I look up to you. You inspire me. Do you have any tips?" What is it like to be able to now? You're still competing, you're still achieving the goal, but what's it like to also be able to give it back a little bit?
Yeah, it's cool, man. Again, like I feel like I just started in the sport yesterday. It's gone by so quick. So it's always like a little bit surreal when I have someone reaching out to me for advice. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But yeah, it's cool definitely to kind of help the up and coming generations.
How much fun are you having right now in your career?
Quite a bit of fun, man. I'm like a super low key guy. Like if you looked at my life from day to day, you wouldn't think I was like having a ball or anything. But no, I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy going to the gym, eating some good food, reading a book, going for a walk.
For you, what would it mean to become PFL champion? Add another Canadian to that throne.
Yeah, it would be huge, man. Um, like you said, I maybe I haven't had my really like blowing up moment yet in the sport. So you have to be the first champ from Canada in PFL and the first tournament style like PFL this year. I think it would be big.
Overall, what were your whole thoughts on this tournament? At first, some people weren't sure what to expect. Obviously, you're part of it. How do you like it so far?
I think it's pretty sick, man. Like me looking at it from a fan's perspective, I think this is way more exciting than what they had before with like the season fights and then the playoff fights. Um, it just feels like every fight is like bigger stakes. Like if you lose, you're going home. So I mean, like you got to fight your ass off every time.
Absolutely. All right, AJ, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome on June 27th when you face Dalton Rosta once again, but this time in the second round of the PFL tournament?
I want to make it look just like the last time. I want to break this guy and have him sucking on air and on his hands and knees, not able to stand up again. That was fun.
Absolutely. Well, AJ, man, thank you so much for your time as always. Really looking forward to the fight, man.
Thank you, bro.
Absolutely. That's it for us, man. I'm Carl Peruzza. Here's Mr. Aaron Jeffrey. Watch him going down June 27th, taking on Dalton Rosta once again, PFL. Take it easy, fight fans.